Chris from MyMMArijuanaChronicles on behalf of MyMMAnews.com, brought to you by O2Vape.com. You can check them out at O2Vape.com. Use promo code MyMMAnews at checkout and get 20% off your order. This time around, I got Brandon Malo, Lambert, BKFC fighter, the Green Geezer, the bastard of BKFC. We got names for days, but you know what? This time he is my guest, and it's an honor to have him. Brandon Lambert, what's going on, my friend?
Not much, man. Just medicating. Getting ready for this upcoming fight. I'm pretty excited about it.
As I understand, you have a fight coming up, and as you are, I'm medicating as well with the Fighter's Friend. You can check them out as well, fightersfriend.com. But
promo code coming soon for you.
Coming soon, of course. We'll get into that. But and of course, like I said, I appreciate that. But yeah, man. So big fight coming up. Can you disclose any of that information just yet?
I can't. I don't even have a contract yet. But If you watch my social media and then look at the people that I'm posting and watch their social media, you can put two and two together. This is a kind of fight that I've been asking for from the beginning. I'm super duper excited about it. I think it's a great matchup as far as experience wise, and it's a platform that I've been asking for this for a while, and I'm just thankful for Mr. Feldman and Mr. Shook for making it happen. And there's my coach Kenny, Tim Carano from Knuckle Up Management helped out a lot. Sean Ulrich from Knuckle Up Media helped out a lot. There's been a lot of people that have been vital in helping me. Jules Gray, I want to give a shout out to her as well. She's been helping me out with a lot of things as well. I like to give shout outs to the people that do things for me on their own behalf, not because they expect something from me. That's the type of things that I like to do for people. So I really appreciate everybody that I just mentioned. And my coach, Kenny Stevens, he's helped out great deal.
So I can't wait to talk about the fight itself in the future. But while I have you now, we're talking about cannabis. We're going to talk about fighting. We're going to talk about it all. But since we're here to talk about cannabis at the moment, I want to ask you, everybody has their story why they started utilizing cannabis. You're no different. Everybody has their reason. What's your why?
I'm going to be 100% honest, and it's probably not anywhere close to what anybody else did. So I started marijuana just off of a whim. A buddy of mine handed me a vape pen. I hit it and it put me on my ass, and I was like, whoa, what is that? And I was addicted to like pills for a long time, pain pills for a long time. And then when I got married, my wife found out, and she's like, well, if you don't quit this, then I'm leaving you. So I dumped them all down and I quit cold turkey, and I was done with pain pills. So then I started gambling because I was always chasing that high. And then I found weed. And then I had a medical condition that I ended up treating with CBD. And that's when I became a firm believer in cannabis as a whole, whether it's hemp or marijuana. It has medicinal effects, both of them. Our bodies are designed to absorb those cannabinoids. Our body actually produces those own cannabinoids as well. And so our body is biologically engineered to consume this. Whether you eat it, inhale it, or use it as a topical form, our bodies ingest it in all those forms. There's not very many other medications that you can take all 3 ways or 5 ways, however many ways there are. This will go into our body any way we choose to put it in there. We could just roll around in weed and it would absorb into our skin.
And not only that, but it can absorb and absorb and absorb, and we can intake as much as possible. And that's one of the great things about it, is unlike any other drugs and big pharma out there, you can't overdose on it. The only thing you're going to do is wind up falling asleep and maybe eat a little too much ice cream, if that.
And if you notice this too, if you go back and look at all your major stoners, the guys that smoke a lot, they're like, man, that guy smokes too much. There's no such thing as too much. What it does is it actually will help revert your body's chemistry back to its natural being. It will help expel those toxins. So when your stoner friends are sleeping or whatnot, their bodies are detoxing while you're intoxing your body with all the McDonald's and the Wendy's and all that bullshit you're eating. I mean, I do know a lot of heavy set stoners, but that's because of the diet that they choose to do. But if you're an active person like Nate or Nick Diaz, they smoke a lot of weed. Their bodies don't look like Seth from where down the street that's smoking on the couch. it's because of their lifestyle. So weed doesn't affect your lifestyle. It just affects on how you enjoy your lifestyle. If you're sedentary and love to eat, you're going to love to smoke weed because it's going to give you the munchies. But if you're an active individual, it's going to help you be more active because it's going to take those pains and those aches away.
I saw a article recently of some of my buddies, Big Lon from High Rollers. He posted it, and it was from a very, very reputable. And I'll make sure I plug it in here. But saying that uh, regular cannabis users are way more proactive and physical when they smoke, and that just completely it disregards the standard of when people categorize people as lazy. The stigma that seemingly fails and falls behind people that smoke weed on the daily basis. Still, unfortunately, the people that think that stigmatize, oh, I'm lazy, they smoke weed. But the article came out. It says what it says, but again, man, what does it help for you maintain with your daily regimen as far as, again, why do you keep using it on the daily?
Well, I have a lot of aches and pains. I mean, I'll be 39 on St. Patrick's Day this year, so I'm old.
Happy birthday.
Thank you. I have, a lot of injuries, especially from training and stuff. And I don't get a lot of sleep. So it helps me with the relaxation of the muscles. It helps me with being able, I think it helps my body produce lubricant for my joints, because if I go 2 or 3 days without smoking, I notice that my hips are really stiff. But if I consume a lot, I have a lot more dexterity and a lot more flexibility. And I'm doing a lot more weight training for this camp. I didn't get to do any weight training for last camp because I was just cutting weight. I was so heavy. Now I'm 10 pounds lighter, fighting at a 10-pound higher weight. So I'm already halfway to where I was when I first got, and I got twice as long to get there. So I'm going to pack on a little bit of muscle. And it helps with the muscle fatigue. I mean, I'll actually I smoke blunts, but I'll actually smoke a joint or a half a joint on the way to the gym, or I'll use my fighter's friend pen. And I'll get, I won't say high, but I'll get lifted. And then I notice that my muscle fatigue isn't there as much as if I do not smoke. And then I'll notice if I smoke after the gym, I don't have those aches and the pains when I wake up in the morning with the sore muscles. I'll still have the soreness from where you worked out, but I won't have the aches and the pains from it. I mean, I don't know the medical reasons behind that, but I know the marijuana does help. I don't know why it does or how it does. I just know it does. So it's
We're
for the
not here to be
muscle fatigues and things.
Yeah, we're not here to be doctors, but we know it helps. But speaking of fighters, friend, you stand behind it. A ton of fighters, especially BKFC fighters, but a ton of athletes, they utilize it on their daily as well. So you stand behind your product, man, and obviously I stand behind it too. It's a great product. So what got you started with that?
I had a medical marijuana dispensary, not dispensary, but delivery in Southern California called Better Call Carl. And I started utilizing vape through Alpine Vapor. And I was buying them wholesale, obviously, and then selling them to my customers. Well, I started making orders, and then they would just be delayed. They'd be like, "Oh, they'll be there on Tuesday." So then I would put everything on the menu for Tuesday, but then my order would never arrive until maybe Saturday. So I contacted the owner and I was bitching about it, and I was like, "If you don't get this right, I'll just stop buying and I'll ask for a refund." Well, he refunded me immediately. So I was like, "All right." So I told my buddies, I was like, "I'm done with the delivery. You guys can have it. I'm starting a vape company. I'm gonna put this fucker out of business." So I started with the CO2 oil, the crude oil, and then I had my medical condition. I was very, very sick. So I'd already started promoting with the company that I had. And then I went up to Colorado and got introduced to a CBD farm out there in a lab that was producing things. So my doctor told me that I needed to take CBD. So I bought a shit ton of it. I formulated it for myself. I bought a shit ton of it. And then I started bottling it and giving it to some of my fighter friends.
Imagine that, just
right. And then they kept asking me for more, like, "Hey man, this stuff really works. I love it." And then I noticed it was helping me a lot too. So then I just combined it up, and then I just started sponsoring athletes with my CBD. And I say it's my CBD because I formulated it to help with my injuries. And my injuries were the same that all these other combat athletes would have and football players would have. So I knew that it would work for them if I mass produced it, and because I was getting feedback from it already. It wasn't like I just bottled it up, gave it to people. I'm like, oh yeah, hey, promote this. I gave it to them at first, unlabeled, nothing, just boom, 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 and then they kept contacting me to send it out, and I was like, well, if I'm sending out this much for free, I should get some advertising for my vape line. And then I was like, well, I'll just start a CBD line and pop it in with my vape line, and then that's how the company was born.
How did you? I mean, I feel like this is a no-brainer, but how did you come up with the name?
Well, I stole it. So the first company that I had was called Terp House. Terp House was basically from terpenes. Terpenes are the botanical oils inside cannabis, which give them their, or inside botanical plants that give them their taste and their smell. Well, the terpenes inside cannabis is what maintains your high or dictates your high. THC is THC. If you do not have the terpenes, you're only going to have one type of high that your body is based upon. So everybody's high is different based on your body makeup. So, I mean, you could smoke a sativa and it could put somebody in the couch. It just depends on their makeup. I have people that buy strictly indica because they work they operate heavy machinery, and the indicas don't affect them as bad as the sativas do. Sativas will put them down and sedate them. That's how they say it, is it's a sedative, and then the indica is more of a power. And so their body chemistry is a lot different than the others that use indicas as a downer. So if you don't have those terpenes, then you're just getting a regular old high. The terpenes are what make them the indicas and the sativas. So that's why I named it Terp House. Had some issues with that with an individual using my logo, my name. So when I lived in Thailand, there was an herbal company called Fighter's Friend. They used botanical oils like ointments and things, and they had a couple of tinctures, I think, but they were based out of Shanghai, Thailand, which they're still active now. So when I was going through the name switch, I looked them up on Instagram, and their Instagram was not active at all for like 2018. So I messaged them to see if I could buy their name and things. I didn't get a response. So to avoid staying with the Terp House name for longer, I just went ahead and added "the" to it. And I guess I sprung a bunch of business up for Fighter's Friend because they started getting active again. And then we conversed and talked and things. So we're good with each other's name or whatnot. But I think I revived their business because like they didn't have anything on their social media in 2021 from 2018. And then in 2022, they're starting to post everywhere. So I think I drummed them up some business, which I'm happy about. It's a great company, but like I said, they're out of Thailand. So short story long, I stole the name.
So with the Fighter's Friend, you seem all right. When I'm going back in this interview, you said you got started when you started hitting a vape. Now, vapes have only really been prominent for the past couple of years. Your plethora of knowledge with cannabis seems way out there and like above the average smokers. So, what kind of a master class? Like, you must have been drilling hard as far as to maintain the knowledge in order to get where you are. I mean, that's a short time frame to amass all this knowledge.
Yeah, I started Terp House in 2016, and when I started feeling the effects of it, I was like, okay, this stuff really works. I really believe in it, and if I believe in something, I go wholeheartedly into it. So yeah, I delved into it. I was going to all the secret sessions, like the smoke sessions around towns, downtown LA, and then I was going to different states, and then I was just hanging out with growers and hanging out with producers and dispensaries and learning what I could about everything. I wanted to figure out, and that's the thing that I'm starting to learn now, is how it affects the different areas of your body. Like I know that it helps with this or that if you do it this or that with it, but how does it do that? And that's when you really get into the medical side of it. And that's like I have to learn terminology to be able to dictate what I'm reading about what I do know about, So like I have to learn about the medical field before I can even learn how cannabis does affect the body.
Hmm.
So I'm starting to deal with that a little bit. But I just know the different types of concentrates, terpenes, the compounds, and how the terpenes actually affect your body. So those are the things that I learned the most because those were the big selling points. Nobody was going around talking about terpenes when I first started it. I was the one that brought terpenes into it. I'm the guy that brought CBD into MMA. Nobody was doing that before me. I had 200 and something plus athletes that were repping my brand, and I was at every fight. I was going to every event, and I was doing that to spread the knowledge of, hey, this isn't just a marketing ploy to where we can make money. This is something that actually works, and that's why you have so many athletes taking so many different CBD products. They know CBD works. Now they're just going with whoever pays them the most money to promote it. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
CBDMD came in and fucked the whole game up. I was partners with Bellator. If you go back 2018,
Hmm.
I was partners with Bellator. I was cage side every event. That's how my BKFC career started. We can get into that at another time. It had to do with Logan Paul,
Mm.
but I was at every BKFC event, and then CBDMD came in and gave them like $10 million to become their sponsor. So they pushed me out.
Sad thing about money is people do anything to make the buck.
Yeah,
But so now that laws and everything loosening with CBD, like we were just talking about, and it's hit the fight scene like a damn haymaker. I mean, everybody's promoting CBD, and everybody's sponsored by CBD. But what do you think of some of the lingering stigmas still that still stands behind people that utilize cannabis? That uh, I'm trying to think of a better way to say this. The stigma that still stands with cannabis, that some sports, for example, the NBA, a lot of the athletes, they don't get tested. But in
yeah,
fight sports, you still see like the Nick Diaz's, that people, they get the hammer laid down on them. When do you think combat sports is going to be set free?
they did.
Not
Well,
everywhere.
Nevada did.
Not well, Nevada,
Yeah,
not
you're right.
everywhere.
Yeah,
Right.
you're right. I I don't know. I hope soon because the reason that there's no research being done on marijuana and its medical purposes is because it would put big pharma out of business because you can get weed anywhere. So you don't. The last thing that the medical field wants is people self-diagnosing and self-healing themselves. So that's why they outlawed it at first. Then they figured out there's a revenue stream on it. Um, I hope they take it away pretty soon, but I don't think it's going to be that in America. I think it'll happen within the next 2 or 3 years, but worldwide, I don't think it'll ever happen because you still have those other countries that, I mean, any type of mind altering thing is a sin or whatever, due to their
Right.
religious, and, a lot of countries are ruled over religion. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't think it'll ever happen, but in America, I'm hoping it happens in the next couple of years because everybody smokes weed.
And that's you transitioned me perfect, man. I was gonna say, out of the combat sports athletes that I know, I'd probably go on the limb and say I'm being generous with saying 75%, and I'm going to even say probably more. Either smoke weed or utilize CBD in some way. They utilize cannabis is what I'm getting at. But some people, they still feel like they need to hide it. They don't want their students to know it. It's like they still feel like they kind of have to hide behind that bush. Whereas some people, again, like I don't mind. It is what it is. You don't mind. There's some people, they let people know that how much it's helped them, opposed to staying behind the scenes and letting people know. Why do you think that is?
Well, I think because those people are just basically closeted potheads. They're not using it for medicinal reason, or they don't believe in medicinal reason. They're just getting high. But what they don't understand is in that euphoric state, your body's healing itself.
Hmm.
When your body works on itself, you can't function at a normal capacity. So you have to do something else, whether it's sleeping, meditation, whatever the case may be. And getting high is a form of subtle meditation where your body is healing itself. Um, but a lot of people don't understand that and they don't want to believe that. They just want to say, hey, yeah, I smoked this in high school or in college. made me feel good. It helps me after a stressful day. They don't really believe in it as a medicinal plant. They just think, oh, it's a good stress relief because I get high for a few minutes. So I think that's why a lot of people want to stay blanketed on it, because they don't believe in the medicinal purposes like the majority of us do. And I would really say that, out of the seven, let's say that 75 is the number, 75%. I would say 65% of those are open about it. It's the 10% that are like, oh, whatever. And it's because they don't have the knowledge. The knowledge isn't available. Why? There's not enough people spreading the correct knowledge. There's a lot of misinformation. A lot of people want to be smart about it that aren't, or educated about it that aren't. They're self-educated, and then they educate somebody else, and then that person tells somebody else, and you have a lot of misinformation. So we need to have media outlets like this that focus on this genre, so it's the go-to news. So everybody knows ESPN is where you go for sports. So there needs to be something like that there you can go for medicinal marijuana information, that it's from trusted sources, it's verified information, and it's easily accessible for everybody.
Couldn't agree more, man. I couldn't agree more. But let's move on to the geezer himself. Let's get into the bastard of bare knuckle. You're one of the more polarizing fighters on the bare knuckle roster, and we talked about this a little bit before the interview. Whether you're stepping up to help, corner one of your homies like Ryan Juggernaut Jones, or you're holding your boy's family down like your boy Bobo and keeping everybody under control there. I mean, you're a giving person. You seem like you're always there for your people, but then at the same time, I've seen the online beefs. I've seen the fights. I've seen the craziness that pops off in the crowd. So again, you're one of those. You're one of those polarizing figures. But again, love them or hate them, you have some of the biggest fighters calling you out. The fans, the eyes are on you. Tell me why.
Like you said, it's polarizing. People see what's on social media. They see me reacting to things because people react to my things, but they don't see that, like all these beefs that you say that I'm in, I'm being called out on all of them. They're mentioning me first, and then I'm responding, and then my response gets blown up, and then it overshadows the fact that they're the ones that initiated it. So then it looks like I'm initiating all these, and I'm not. But then so people see me as that persona, and then they start confronting me. So all these confrontations that I've had at all these events, I haven't started a single fucking one of them. People have approached me, and then they come at me. But the reason that they do that is that they know that I'm being told as soon as I get to the fighter hotel, do not do anything, or you will be tossed out of the arena. And they know that if I'm there, I have friends that fight on every card. That's why I go to every card. I go to every card to support the sport, but I always have friends that are fighting, so I go to support them. I don't want to take away from their moments. Yeah, I want to get interviewed and have my shine, but me cornering people is me being there for them because they asked me to be there. Because they don't have anybody else, I step up and do it. It's not like I'm like, hey man, can I be in your corner? I want to be on TV. You know what I mean? But a lot of people see the way that I act online. They're like, oh, this guy is all about himself. And I get it. That's fine. But like I'll use this as an example. There was this. I was in that beef with Joe Riggs, and one of his friends, without even knowing me, started trashing me online, and then tried to beat me up at a hotel. And then 2 days later, we're hanging out at a bar having drinks because we became friends because he had 5 minutes to come over and talk to me. You know what I mean? And then so like everybody that has like legit beef with me, they've never seen me in person. They've never met me. Not one day in their life have they ever met me. Anytime I meet somebody that's had a beef with me, instantly become friends. Matthew Strickland, Stretch, he fought Alan Belcher in boxing. He's a heavyweight, and he was going to the Birmingham, Alabama tryouts. And he told me online, you show up, I'm going to smack the shit out of you. So I went to the event that the night before, stayed up all night, partied, did whatever, got in a car at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I rode down with my manager, Scott Farley. And as I'm walking into the building, who do I see walking into the bathroom? Big ass Stretch. So without going and saying hi to anybody, I walk right into the bathroom and I stand right beside him so he can see me. And he turns around and he says, "Wow, like, you know who I am?" I was like, "I know exactly who you are. I came for that smack." And he says, "Wow, you're not afraid?" And I was like, "Why would I be afraid?" And he's like, "Wow, I got to respect that, you know, like, well, you're you're not acting like I figured you would, you know, this and that and this and that." And then we talked throughout the tryouts, and then we became friends. You know what I mean? So I take threats. I used to take threats pretty lightly. I figured, you know, once you meet me, you know, I'll talk. But after all the confrontations I've been through lately, like almost getting physically jumped at venues or hotels, I'll stab the fuck out of somebody now. Like, I get paid to fight, but on the street, I got to defend myself, and there's nobody my size approaching me. It's always cruiserweights, heavyweights, or anybody. So just fair warning: you come to fuck with me at an event, and it's not sanctioned, you're getting stabbed because I carry a knife with me, and I will gut you like a fucking fish. Like,
Well,
I'm tired of being threatened. Like, I'm not the asshole that I portray online or that portrays out online. I do what I need to do to sell my fights,
yeah.
but I'm not going to go out and get physically assaulted when I'm going out and try to have a good time. I'm not going to stand for it no more.
I understand that, man. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say, as before I actually got a chance to talk with you, I mean, all I see is what I see on, inside the BKFC ring, on
Yeah,
social media, everything like that. I didn't know what to take of Brandon Lambert. I always keep an open mind, but at the same token, you see what you see, and you just, all right, well, when I meet him, I'll see what, he has to say, and we'll form an opinion then. You straight off the rip seemed like one of the nicest people that you can ever come across, doesn't want beef with anybody and only wants to help other people. So the fact that other people seem to want to have some misconstrued beef or some made up beef or just want to come across you with some silliness, honestly, why do you think you're so misunderstood that way?
because people are stupid. People
I
want
I guess.
to. I mean, what it is, people want to belong somewhere. They want to belong to a group, and they want to be heard. And the way that people think they're being heard is by mocking or making fun of somebody or to tear somebody down. So when somebody hears somebody talking shit about me, they're like, "Yeah, yeah, fuck him. Yeah, 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 fuck that guy." You know what I mean? And that's fine because deep down they're fans of mine. If it wasn't for those people saying fuck me, the people that love me wouldn't even be paying attention. So
And it's the same people that have watched you fight on, the BKTV the app. So go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, you know. So like what people don't understand is I'm not like the only reason I'm fighting
Mm.
is so my children can see me. My wife has been alienating me from my children for the last 2 years, 2.5 years. And that's why I get so aggravated when people call me a deadbeat or go take care of your kids. Like, I'm spending all my money. Like, I'm working two jobs now. I own a business, but I'm also working two jobs because the attorneys have bankrupted me. And that's what she wanted me to do. I've spent over $150,000 in the last 2 years, and I haven't been to court yet. So now I'm at the verge of now being able to get into court and do what I need to do. But I'm doing all this for a platform so people can see me. I can get my story out, and hopefully some attorney will help me even more.
Mm.
And so my children can see me because they watch all the fighting stuff. So they watch bare knuckle. So I know that's why I push for bare knuckle to post me so much. Like, hey, let me do this, let me do that, whatever, whatever. And that's why I get in those beefs. I want them to see me so they know that I haven't given up on them because they're being told by their mother and the significant other that I left them and I didn't care. And this is the only way that I know how to do this. So I don't know of any other way.
No
So
father should ever have to not see their children, and I'm so sorry about that. I've seen you talk about it. I've seen other people talk their shit online, which is
yeah,
absolutely it's too low, and it goes to speak volumes about that. I didn't know how much you wanted to get into that, which I'm not gonna get
I'm an
into it or
open
beat
book.
anything. Right, but I mean that's your personal thing, and it, we're here to talk about a certain topic, and I don't want to go down too much of a dark alley. But with that said, just a couple questions I will ask on that is, do you think you're on the right path for them to see that their father is doing the right thing for them. Because it's clear as day, you've made it every time you get a vocal opportunity to talk, you want your children. You want them to see
Yeah.
this. You want to be around them. So you think you're on the right path.
Yeah, and what I'm really hoping is that their mom will see this and forget all the animosity that she has towards me and the hatred towards me, and think about them. Like it wasn't like I wasn't their dad. Like we did things together a lot. They loved me. We kissed each other goodnight every night. Hugged me when I got home from work every day. So I was an active father.
Hmm.
I get our beef between us, but I'm hoping that she sees that I'm trying to become a better person for them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So I'm doing it on both ways, because I don't want, I hate her for what she's doing right now. But if she was to call me and say, hey, let's just co-parent, I'd forget everything. Like, let's just co-parent. I love my children more than I hate her. And
Great work.
I'm hoping that she realizes that that's what she needs to do, is love them more than she hates me. And let's co-parent. I have no problem paying bills, buying things, doing whatever, but I'm not going to do it if I'm being alienated. I'm not going to be used. I'm not going to have them being used as a financial tool, So I hope I'm on the right path. That's why I continue to do so.
Hmm.
And then, I mean, things are happening for me, like things that I would never even, would never be able to convince me that I would be a superstar in a combat sport. And I don't care what anybody fucking says about my performance. I'm the face of bare knuckle. When you talk about bare knuckle, or somebody talks about bare knuckle, somebody brings my name up. There's no other fighter is being talked about as much as me. Whether it's negative or positive, I'm always in the conversation. So that's why I can confidently say I'm a motherfucking superstar.
And do you think a win in your upcoming bout, do you think that's going to erase any doubt in any of the haters' minds, or do you think haters are going to hate?
Haters are going to hate. They're going to say it's set up. They're going to say that I have no real test. They're going to say that I faked the first fight. They're going to come up with some excuse. And then they're going to start calling me to fight for the guys that I've been calling for the past year. So that's what this fight's going to do. This fight is going to springboard me to where I want to be at, to fight the best in the division. So yeah, that's what my goal is. Is like I'm doing this for views or whatnot, and for eyes, and for my kids to see me. But I legitimately think I can hold the 145-pound belt. Cutting at 135 fucking killed me.
Hmm.
I was a zombie.
Hmm. The weight cut, it's a bitch, man. I mean, I haven't done it since 2009, so I'm not going to pretend like I'm a fresh one in the game. And that wasn't for a kickboxing fight. But hey, weight cutting is a bitch. So
That was my first time ever cutting weight.
really, it's
38 years old,
not a fun time, man.
37 pounds in 27 days.
And 38 years old, that's not the easiest time of your life to cut a shit ton of weight either. So
I had all
kudos
these,
to you,
I had
man.
all these, I had so many fighters being like, oh man, I used to cut, I cut that every time. Like, yeah, you've cut it before. Like, this is the first time. So a lot of people don't know this, but I was in a hospital for like 2 weeks after the fight.
Damn.
It took me 4 months to recover. I flew to Puerto Rico to go train with Elvin again. I had to fly back stateside to go back to the hospital because I was ballooning up. I had edema for like a month and a half.
Mm.
My kidneys were at like 20%. I was almost dead.
Holy shit.
Yeah,
Speaking
that
of,
weight cut
I was
was
gonna,
fucked.
yeah, the weight. It sounds like it was fucked, but weight cutting itself, it sucks. But speaking of Elvin, man, and Puerto Rico and the jungle, man, how is it out there? And how do you feel about your boy coming back with that belt?
Man, I couldn't be happier for him. Him and Caesar earned every fucking bit of that. He called. Sorry.
You're fine.
He called me and asked me to come out for that camp, and I felt like shit because I couldn't, because I was working. First time, first time in like a decade, I've actually had to have a job, and I couldn't leave. And that broke my heart because I wasn't there for him when he needed me the most. But big shout out to Britton Beltran, Joey Beltran, Lorenzo Hunt for taking time out of their life and going out there and helping them for that camp. And then in the midst of them getting ready to fight, especially Britton, in the midst of them getting ready for her fight, she comes out and corners him. You know what I mean? So big shout out to them for doing that. That means a lot to me. And I told him I loved him very much for that, because I love Elvin to death. Like, Elvin's my brother. I love him.
Mm.
So yeah, it really hurt me deep that I wasn't there for the training camp, but it meant everything. And thank you for David Feldman and Dave Cranston for letting me in the building after my debacle to watch the fight. I literally had to beg them to let me into that building to watch that fight, and they were gracious enough to let me in.
Can you talk to me about what it's like in the jungle camp out there in Puerto Rico, man? It seems like it's hell.
It's hell and it's heaven, because
Right. For a fighter, it would be
so
heaven and hell.
yeah, so like, well, it's just grueling because we have
Yeah.
mountains. We have mountains up there. It's humid. The sun beat like we have to get up at 5:45 in the morning and get to La Pica and start running by 6, and be done by 7, or we can't do it because we will fucking fry.
Ah.
So we get up super early in the morning and we run 4.5, 5 miles up the mountain. And then we chill out for the day, eat, recover, and then about 5:30 we head to the jungle camp over in Patias, over past Patias and Guyama. Go through there. That's where we do our strength and conditioning, and then we go to a Royal Boxing gym in Patias, and that's where we spar and hit the bag and all that good stuff. And then now we have a gym actually in Monabo that they opened up. I haven't been there yet because I haven't been back to Puerto Rico in a couple of months. But Coach Cesar and Elvin opened up a gym out there, so that's where they're training at now. I don't think they go to the jungle camp anymore, but it's still the jungle where we live. It's
Right.
I mean it's beautiful though. It's all coastal. We're right on the beach.
By hell, I meant hell by training with some of the world's best bare knuckle fighters, but obviously heaven because you're in some of the most gorgeous property on earth.
Yeah. Well, it
But
ain't even the bare knuckle fighters that you got to worry about. It's those fucking Puerto Rican boxing kids, bro. There's 14 and 15-year-olds out there that would body half the BKFC roster.
I'm not
Body
surprised.
them.
Not
Like,
surprised.
just body them, bro. Like, in the tournament style, too. These kids are savages. So, yeah, it's.
So you mentioned a job, and I wanted to touch on that just a little bit, just because being a kid and growing up watching Dog the Bounty Hunter and seeing some of the wild shit that happened on there. I want to hear some of the wild shit from Malo the Bounty Hunter. Just give me one little taste of a solid story that's just outlandish crazy.
Yesterday, so COVID obviously is affecting a lot of things. So jails aren't accepting people. So what we're doing now is just picking people up, taking them to the jail, letting them hold a piece of paper, like a newspaper with the date on it, taking a picture, and then we can send that to the court, and they'll help reschedule their court dates and stuff. We picked up a broad last night actually, and took her to the jail, took the picture, and set her free and let her walk home. But she had just had a fucking C-section and shit, but she couldn't be happier. She was taking off. But we've had, so I was on a stakeout. I went out like a couple of weeks ago, and there was this fucking meth guy, and I wanted to get him bad too because he was on bond for meth or whatnot, and he missed his court date. But he had like 3 babies at home and a pregnant wife, and he was at a bar drinking, right? So one of his little cohorts called up and said, "Hey, he's at this bar. He's there. Go get him." So I pull in and I'm doing a stakeout because I got to wait on my boys to come get me. Right? I gotta wait on backup to come.
Hmm.
Man, traffic was all fucked up. I had to sit in this bar and make conversation with people for like 2 hours, and they're drinking and singing karaoke, and this dude's singing about doing methamphetamine and all this, and I'm gritting my teeth. I'm ready to kill this motherfucker, right? And then finally, I see my guy come in. I'm like, he's right over here. Come here. I just jump up. Boy, I couldn't wait to snitch on this motherfucker. And I was in plain clothes, guy. I couldn't be in there with a vest, so I just walk right over. Like, he's right fucking here. And this guy's like, "What are you talking about?" And I was like, "You're going to jail, bitch." And he's like, "I ain't going anywhere." And then here come the fucking sheriffs and shit with my guy. So that was pretty exciting. And then probably 2 nights ago, we walked up into a house that had just been drove by. Well, it wasn't a drive-by. They walked around and shot the whole fucking property up. This is in Baton Rouge.
Holy shit.
And by shot up, I mean by AK-47s and buckshot. I posted some of it on my story on Instagram. Mm-hmm. But that was just the front of the house. We were looking through the windows to see what else was going on. Bro, they had walked into the driveway, sprayed the side of the house, went to the back of the house, sprayed the garage up. East Baton Rouge is like, I walk with devils amongst men. So like there ain't shit in that BKFC ring that's gonna scare me. I've been doing this for a couple of months now, and I've seen more shit in those couple of months than most have seen in movies.
Holy shit. It sounds like it.
I held a dude at gunpoint a couple nights ago. He had a knife. He was methed out. We're inside that. We had to bust the door down, kick the door down. In a nice neighborhood also. We kicked the door down. The dad is on meth. The son is locked up in a room on meth. So we're trying to get the door open. We finally get the door open, and he's holding a big ass knife. And we're in a small hallway. You know, imagine a small hallway with doors on either side, like. So we're in one room. All the rooms are zigzag. So we're in one room here. He's in the room here with a knife. So we're backed up on the doorway here. He's in his doorway with the knife. We got our firearms out. And then we have his dad just walking around us, calling us motherfuckers. We're trying to talk the guy down. And then thankfully, somebody had ended up calling the sheriff. So the sheriff showed up, and then they sent a fucking K9 in. Yeah, Baton Rouge. Baton Rouge ain't no. It's a different world out here, bro.
Apparently so.
I mean, I've done my LA stuff. I'm from Southern California.
Yeah.
Louisiana is a different world out here, bro. Like, they just don't care.
Holy shit, dude.
They don't care.
So it takes a certain individual, obviously, bare knuckle fighter, bounty hunter. You must love the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, and well, I mean, and you know, I can't bounty hunt 24/7, so now I'm working at the Hustler Strip Club on Bourbon.
I can't hate you on that. I can't hate you there.
And we're getting ready to go through Mardi Gras, and it's going to be my first Mardi Gras, so I'm excited about that because, like, it's supposed to get wild. So everybody's like, get a vest. You got to wear a vest. So I got to wear a concealable vest and stuff. So
now, being a bounty hunter, I mean, obviously, I'm sitting here watching like the TV and a dude with fucking, you know, a lion's mane of blonde hair, but so I didn't know you guys could actually carry legit firearms.
Yeah, well, Louisiana is an open carry state anyway.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we're not cops, but we're law enforcement. We're enforcing laws. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we work for the state. But yeah, I mean, we're allowed any means necessary. I mean, we can't, you know, kill a motherfucker, you know, shoot him for no reason or anything like that. But you know, if we got to defend ourselves, we would much rather use tasers or less lethals. But East Baton Rouge, I'm carrying a firearm because they have real guns.
Yeah, understandable.
So I mean, like I'm hanging out in like Metairie or some shit. I'm going to carry around my taser if I'm going to a suspect's house before I'm going to carry a firearm.
Right.
But in East Baton Rouge, I'm carrying my AK-47, my AR-15 strapped behind my back, and I have my Glock 19, and I'm walking up to that door with it because it's East Baton Rouge, and they have real fucking guns.
Now, earlier, I'd be remiss if I didn't go back and circle back and ask you about this, just because the guy he's everywhere as far as combat sports now. Now, you mentioned Logan Paul. What's your history with him?
So in 2018, I was at the LA Coliseum. I want to say, yeah, it was Bellator. It might have been the Staples Center. I don't know. I was somewhere in LA for Bellator. And Logan Paul comes walking through, and he like kicks my shoe or whatever. And I was like, oh, my bad. And he's like, yeah, watch your shit or some shit like that. And I was like, yeah, well, fuck you. And he turns around. And he's like, oh, you know who I am, blah, 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 blah. And he starts talking shit. I can't really hear him, and I want to make sure that he can hear me. So I stand up. Well, as I stand up, my wife at the time, she knew that when I stand up, like, it's about to go down. So she stood up to pull me down. And he's like, oh, you need to sit your bitch, or you need to sit down, and you need to follow your bitch, or some shit like that. So we got into it, and I just hated him from that moment on. Well, I'm really good friends with Eric Albrician, which is Henry Cejudo's coach, the Pitbull Brothers coach, Paulo Costa. So I seen Logan wrestling with Paulo at the Performance Center. So I call up Eric and I'm like, hey, is Logan trying to do MMA? And he's like, yeah, I think so, blah, 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 blah. Well, I'm in bed with Bellator. So I call Bellator up right away and I'm like, hey, I want to fight Logan Paul in MMA. And they're like, well, he's not even signed to us. He's like, I know, but he's signed to DAZN and you're on DAZN. I was like, we can make this fight happen. Let's do this. Let's do this MMA. And he's like, well, can you even get licensed? Are you even licensed? I was like, no, I can get licensed. And this was in 2019. So I fly out to, or maybe it wasn't 2019, maybe it was 2020. So I fly out to California. I'm sitting in Dr. Glucksman's office. Boom. They start getting phone call after phone call after phone call. COVID's shutting everything down. They're shutting everything down. So I'm sitting in the room and I have a flight out in 3 hours. They're like, hey, we're going to have you come back like whenever we can reopen, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I can't come back. I fly out. So they call Bellator and Bellator's like, yeah, can you please get it done? So they finish my tests and then I fly back. Well, Logan's like, well, if I can't fight within 6 months, I'm going to go do boxing. And Bellator cancels every fucking card for the rest of the year. So he goes over and does boxing. So I get super depressed, you know, because like that's life-changing money. I was going to become a millionaire. Got super depressed, started doing shrooms. Seen myself in a circular ring. Had no idea what it was, but I started hallucinating all the time, meditating all the time, and I would see that. And come to find out, it was a BKFC ring. So like just shit just worked out to where I got onto the inside, and then I started doing my trolling of Tyler Goodjohn. I went to England. And then the day after I got back from England, I got a text message from Nate Shook, said, hey, can you make 135 by February 5th? I knew that was Knucklemania, and I was like, fuck yeah, I can. Because in my mind, I was about 155 pounds. I was 175 pounds.
I made that mistake before.
Yeah, and there was no way I was calling him back and be like, oh, hey, no, I'm too. Because in my mind, I was going to walk through Jared Grant. Because I'd watched him fight live, and I didn't like him. And I think I just didn't like him because of how he looked, I guess, you know? Like, now I love the dude. Like, that's my little brother. I love that kid. I think he's going to beat Johnny. And his coach is one of the best coaches in the world. Ryan Perez is fucking brilliant when it comes to fighting. Fucking brilliant. But, yeah, I thought I was going to walk through him, and I didn't. That weight cut was fucking vicious. Vicious.
So a win coming up in the upcoming bout. Again, we'll get into that at another time, another date, but a win, what does that do for you? Obviously, it puts you in a better mind frame, but what does it do for you and your life? And what's the blueprint for 2022?
I want to fight at least 3 times this year. I expect all 3 of those fights to be wins. And then to start 2023, I want to fight for the 145-pound title, whether it be the inaugural title or if somebody's already holding it, which if somebody holds it, it'll probably be John Chalbeck. That's the guy I really want to culminate my career with is Chalbeck. If I won a belt, I would defend it once and then retire.
You're looking to get out.
I'm almost 40 years old.
40 is the new 20.
Yeah. I mean, it really depends.
Yeah.
It really depends on the money situation.
True.
If I get paid what I'm worth, I'll stick around all day.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to stick around for average Joe pay because, I mean, yeah, I'm not a world beater as far as like a world-class fighter. I mean, let's be honest about that. But what I bring to the table, nobody else is bringing to the table right now. Yeah, you can fight great, but nobody knows your fucking name. I may not be able to fight great, but everybody knows my fucking name. I can always improve, and I have drastically. And with bare knuckle, I could stick around for 10 more fights because this is a brand new sport and I'm not behind the 8 ball on anybody. I mean, Luis Palomino included. He's a great fighter, a great striker, but this is a brand new sport, baby. So a win solidifies me, gets me a 5-fight deal in addition to the fight deal that I have now, and solidifies me as the fucking face because all I need is one win to shut people up. As far as saying I don't belong. Then they're going to start clamoring on he hasn't been tested.
So you already have it clocked down on what people are going to say after the next win, and then when you get the next win and following suit. So it just keep winning and then finally shut them the hell up before retirement.
Yeah. I mean, if it's not blatantly obvious, I have this shit figured out.
Yeah.
All I have to do is learn how to fight.
So, I like how you're lighthearted about it. All I got to do is learn how to fight.
All I got to do is learn how to fight. I mean, what a lot of people don't understand about that moment was that was like everything to me. That moment, like, imagine your all-time goal of whatever it is, and then finally getting there.
Yeah. How
your body and mind would react on a normal basis. And then dehydrate yourself completely. You know what I mean? And as far as my jab, I had twisted my knee backstage before we came up because I stood on stage and then they set us back in the locker room for 20 more minutes. There was a huge break waiting on the pay-per-view to start. There's a huge break. So they set me back because there was a dark fight. Drew Lipton and Jeff Bailey fought before us. They didn't air that. And then they set us up 10 minutes after they fought, or 5 minutes after they fought. Getting ready to walk, and they're like, nope, go back 10 minutes, or go back for 20 minutes. Went back to the locker room. Big boy Jensen, Chris Jensen was in the locker room in front of the sinks warming up. I don't know if it was sweat or water, what it was. They moved out of the way. And then me and Brock Weaver went into the bathroom, started doing mitts. I stepped wrong on a piece on a piece of tile that had water on it, twisted my knee a little bit. And my biggest fear was fucking up my leg like Fred Pierce did in Miami. And I had told Brock that. So I didn't put any weight on that leg hardly at all that first round and a half or so. And then I don't remember the rest of the fight after that. I don't remember the second round at all. And I just remember the ending of the third. I remember getting the body shot, hitting the ropes, and thinking that I was turning like this, and then my body just folded, and I turned into that punch, and that's when he cracked me in the ear, or back of the head, ear, wherever it was. It was a legal shot because I turned into it regardless, but it definitely hit me in the back of the head because I had a huge knot in the back of my head. But, I mean, he won 100% fair and square. Like, I'm not debating that at all.
Well, speaking of Knucklemania 2 coming up, and obviously I'm going to try to get this edited up and put out before then, but who do you have, Mike Perry or Julian Lane?
Julian Lane, more than likely. Julian's powerful as shit. Mike's too reckless and wild, and Julian's got a lot of bare knuckle experience. So I think he's gonna put Perry down. Perry's used to getting cracked with feet and legs and all that good stuff. He can take damage that way, but he's going to get stopped via cuts, if anything. So he's going to drop Perry a lot. Perry's going to keep getting up because he's tough, but I think it's going to get stopped via cut. I got Julian Lane all day on that one.
Do you think Palomino defends his strap?
I want to say no. I used to think that Palomino was like the best bare knuckle fighter in the world. And then I seen Dat beat him basically, but I don't know if that was because of the COVID effects or not. I know that he had super bad effects from COVID. I can vouch for that because it takes a long time to get over that shit, and he had it bad. So we'll see. Trey ain't no bitch. Trey can fight. So I think Trey Brown gets it, but we'll see if the real Luis Palomino shows up, he stops Trey in 3 rounds.
And this is probably my main event. Your girl, Britton Hart and Christine Faria, who also, I mean, you're friends with both of them, if I'm not mistaken.
I love both those ladies.
This is going to be a hell of a fight, man. Oh my God, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it.
If I just did too. If these two women show up as them, not as anybody else, as them right now, this is going to be fight of the year, hands down. It's going to be the best women's bare knuckle fight ever. I think if Britain loses via cuts. But I think that Christina, I'm sorry, babe. I think that Christine could probably outpoint her as far as aggressiveness. Not saying that Britain isn't aggressive, but the way that Christine fights shows her aggressiveness. She makes her opponent look defensive rather than offensive, basically. But I mean, Britain can punch, man, and Britain's tough, and Britain has power. She's bulked up. She has power. She knows how to use her footwork now. She knows how to use her range. Every fight, she's getting better. I don't see her putting away Christine, but she could. I mean, this could be the fight where Christine gets knocked out. But this could also be the fight. I mean, it's gonna be a fucking barn burner, bro. Like,
I mean, for what it's worth, nobody really saw what happened with Nunes and Pena happening the way it did, but it did. So anything can happen. And oh my God, this fight is absolutely insane. I can't wait for it.
But what's crazy about this is people know that both these ladies are tough. They can take damage, and both of them can inflict damage. I mean, I don't think they've ever had a clean fight. Everything's been bloody. So I'm going to be happy for either one that win, and I'm going to be sad for the one that doesn't win. But I don't think there's going to be a loser in this fight. I don't think any stocks are going to be lost in this fight. It's just going to be. I think this is going to be one of those fights where the next 2 or 3 pay-per-views they're going to build up, and they're going to have to fight again. They may even have to have a trilogy, because right now there's nobody that's on their level.
Do you think it'll bury their hatchet?
No.
Simple as that. No.
No. They are grudge holding bitches, and I love them for it. I love them for it. I mean, Britain's mad at me because I support Christine, which I get. I understand, and I'm sorry that she feels that way. But I still love her dearly. Christine understands that I'm friends with Britain. But sometimes people want you to pick sides, and sometimes you just can't do that, And I know that after the fight, Britain will understand. Just right now, she's in her fight mode. She's in her mindset of you're either with me or against me, And I get that, because I get that way too. So I hope afterwards, whether she wins or loses, I can give her a hug, tell her that I love her, and good job. That's my goal, is to be able to hug and tell both these women that I love them, and great job on both their accounts. I think they're going to put on a hell of a show.
And finally, I know you've been pretty outspoken about this one, but how do you think Chad Money Mendez is going to play?
Well, Fames is working with Ryan Perez, and if I know Ryan Perez, I think we're going to watch Chad Mendez go night-night. If Fames can listen, he'll go night-night. He'll put Mendez out if Fames listens to Ryan. So hopefully they mic up Ryan, and they are put the microphone near him so people can hear him on TV when he talks in the corner, because he's going to tell Fames exactly how to beat Mendez. And if he goes out there and executes it like that, he will 100% beat Mendez. I think Mendez has a glass jaw. I'd come up to 165 and fight him.
I think you'd fight anybody, Malo. Honestly, I do.
I would. I mean, wait till after I win this fight, I'm going to make my call-outs. But I know that the fans are going to want me to fight somebody real. Yeah. And I hope they're on my list, because I want to fight names, man. Like, I don't want to fight these dudes that nobody knows with 200 followers. Like, I want to fight names, man. And me and Tom Schoaf are going to fight one day.
And before I start closing it down, you had mentioned before you're almost 40. Is that another contributing factor to why you want to fight these names? Get it in while you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I bring too much value to have to work my way up the ladder, as they say. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to fight below me. I don't want to fight beneath me. I want to fight people that are better than me, or that people think that are better than me, because I will never be able to improve. And let's face it, like, I'm a big name in sport. Whether I have a good record or not, I'm a big name in sport. If I lose to a nobody, that could diminish my popularity. But if I lose to, like, let's say a Tom Shove, I'm supposed to lose to Tom. Feed me to another monster, and if I lose to him, I'm supposed. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I I have the ability to make a career out of losing to top tier people. I could beat. Like, look at Chael Sonnen. That motherfucker was getting title shots after losses
It's not your
because
intention, but
no, I mean, I'm going to get title shots based on wins, but like, that's the whole thing. Is like, I have nothing to lose
mm,
and everything to gain. So yeah, I want to fight people with big ass names, because if I fight somebody, let's say I fight a no name guy and I hurt my shoulder or something and he beats me. Now he has a win over me, and now I'm 0-2 with some bullshit, and now nobody's gonna fuck with me. Like, oh, you're fucked. You pussed out of this fight against that guy, whatever, whatever. But if I go out there and get knocked out against a big name, I'm supposed to do that. That's what was
mm,
supposed to happen. Ha ha ha. Can't wait for it to happen again to you. You know what I mean?
mm.
So, like, I've got the marketing thing down. Like, I know what I'm doing with this. And I just wish more fighters would listen to what I'm doing and copy me, so we could expand this sport more, because we have people that are tuning in for one fighter and then they're tuning off the app. We need people signing on to that app and watching every fucking fight, because everybody on that app deserves to be watched. You know what I mean? So the more people that we have bringing in those eyes, oh, that guy did that. We need to interact with each other a lot more too. Like, a lot of these people don't want to fuck with me because they think I'm an asshole. And then when they do find me, or meet me at the event, then like, oh yeah, we need to do some videos together, do this and do that. So yeah, I, I, I need I need the platform to do this, and I need more people to listen and witness what I'm doing. Like, I shouldn't be as popular as I am with a 0-1 record.
And you're brutally honest about it.
There's no reason for me to be as popular as I am, except I'm entertaining. People want to see what I'm going to say next, what I'm going to do next, who I'm going to fight next, who I'm going to get beat by next.
And how you're going to help the sport of bare knuckle fighting next, which is going to be coming up soon. But we're gonna start closing it down, brother. But before I let you go, man, cannabis, which is what we talked about, man. It's helped so many people in so many different ways. Obviously, it's helped you. It's helped me. Obviously, we're not doctors, but for anybody out there that might be toying with taking the alternative therapy route, what advice would you give to them?
I mean, don't go to a dispensary and talk to a bud tender. You don't have to purchase anything. Go to a dispensary if it's local. If it's not, then get on Leafly. The Leafly will and then search strains. The Leafly.com will help guide you to the different terpene compounds that will help alleviate all the ailments that you're looking to alleviate. So if you type in like green crack, it'll tell you exactly how green crack helps you, whether it helps with insomnia, fatigue, whatever, whatever. And then it kind of breaks it down and it gives you a little bit of background about that strain. And if you are in a legal state, go to the dispensary, talk to a bud tender, see what they think, and try tested bud. Don't get it from like Ralph down the road unless you know the guy. Like I don't get dispensary weed. I go buy from my guy, but I know where he gets it from. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So just be careful on the stuff that you're getting, especially news people, because a lot of these guys are selling out spice and shit to these new newbies. They don't even know what they're smoking. And then
Hmm.
they get it, and then they're all tweaked out, and they think marijuana does that to them, and that's not the case. So just be informed. If you're new to it, go to a safe source, which would be a dispensary or Leafly.com.
Trusted source indeed, man. Brandon, I appreciate your time. I'm looking forward to seeing you back in the squared circle. And obviously, as I said before, man, I'm loving the fighter's friend, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate your time. Sorry I was so long winded. Medication makes me do that sometimes, but
Well, that's
You
what
know,
this
it is what it
conversation
is.
that's what this conversation was for, brother, is to have this long talk. I appreciate it, bro. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you, man, and thank you for all you do for the fight community and spreading the good news of medical marijuana.
My pleasure. There he goes. Brandon Malo Lambert. He is set to make his return to the BKFC Squared Circle soon. We couldn't get into it, but I promise you we will in the future. And for Brandon Malo Lambert, I'm Adam Christ. Make sure you keep it locked to MyMMAnews.com for all your fight news needs.